Yeah. Holding over the machlokes, the argument between Rabbi Elazar and Hurkinus and the Chachamim regarding the Tanakh Noi, right? So he originally wanted to prove his point. He says, let a Baskel come out and say that the halach is like Rabbi Elazar. Baskel came out, Rabbi Shua Amar al Raglav says, Bo Bashamayim. It's not for Shemaim to decide what it is. Because Torah says, Acharam Lahatos, that whenever you have an irresolvable question, Acharam Lahatos, you follow majority. Therefore, we're not bound to Shemaim. That's what Rabbi Shua said. Okay, now he's going to go through. But Rabbi Elazar originally brought three proofs. The first thing he said, right? Let the carrot be uprooted. And there's the question, was it uprooted 100 amos or 400 amos? And then he said, let the water flow backwards rather than downward. Let the kostek medrash fall over, right? And then finally he said, let there be a basko. So he said four things to prove that the halacha is as he had said. And what's them said, lo b'shamayim. It's irrelevant what Shemaim says. Torah says, Acharam Lahatos, you follow majority rule. The Chacham are majority, we rule like the Chachamim. Okay? But Rabbi Shua said something earlier. He said, Shu'am alehem, im tamid chachamim natzchem zeh b'alocha atem ativchem. Right? I mean, if Talmud Chachamim are engaged in a debate, what do you get involved here? Sister Kostley Sameach, you're going to decide what the halach is by falling over or not falling over. Don't get involved. So it says, Lo nofnei kavcha Rabbi Yeshua. The walls did not fall over because of the cover of Rabbi Yeshua. Lo zokvim mikvodesh Rabbi Elazar, and they didn't become erect, vertical, because of Rabbi Elazar. V'adayin matin v'omdim. If you go to that base measure, they're still like the Tower of Pisa. Okay? Chazav amalem im haloch kamosim min hashmaim yochichu. Yotzes baskov omer malochem eitzo Rabbi Elazar shalom kamoso b'chol mokom. How do you even have the audacity to disagree with Rabbi Elazar? We always rule like Rabbi Elazar. Omri shal ragla v'oma Torah lo b'shamayim ma lo b'shamayim om Rabbi Yirmeh inonu mashkich masko. We don't pay attention to Basko. Shar kosvos kosafta b'Torah arsin achram lahatos. No, we're holding this. Ashkechei Reb Nosen Lelio. So Reb Nosen came upon Reb Elio. This is after the story. Omelei Mayovid Kuchibrich Vayishaito. Right? What is he asked while this was going on, this debate between Reb Yeshua and Reb Elazar? What was Hashem doing? How did he respond to what was going on? Omalei Kochayich VeOmar Itzchuni Bonai Itzchuni Bonai. He was sitting at Kaviyot was sitting and smiling and says, my children, they beat me at this one. Understand? Meaning, I said to Pascal, they said, you know something, we give you great respect, but you told us not to pay attention to you. That day, all the tyrants that had to do with that oven, they burnt because according to the Chacham, it was tummy, it was contaminated. And they had a consensus, they put him in Chayrim. They put Rabbi Elazar ben Hurkinus in Chayrim. So they said, who's going to inform him that he's a Chayrim? It's the laws that he has to conduct himself a certain way. Omalem Rabbi Kiva, Ani Elech. Yeah, Rabbi Kiva says, I'll go. He was the greatest. Shema Yelech Odom Sheina Hogan Vider V'nipsa Machris Kol Olam Kulo. Hear this? Because a person who's inappropriate to go, Rabbi Elazar has a reaction, he could destroy the whole world. Because if he reacts negatively, hear this? Even though Rabbi Elazar is wrong, but because he's in pain, and if he's treated not appropriately, his reaction could have very severe consequences. The world could be destroyed. Because we'll see anywhere it happened. That day there were ships that went down at sea, there were gale winds, there were earthquakes, everything because of the story of Rabbi Elazar. Mauser of Kiva, Lova Shchorim, Nisativ Shchorim, put on black clothing, wrapped himself in black, V'yoshto Pona Brichu Dalar Amos. And he stayed at a distance of 4 amos because a person's within Chayrim, and that's supposed to be within his 4 cubits. No. He goes to Rechavi, he brings back, which is not far from the Prime Minister's residence, he brings back a different Torah. Okay? Omer Rabbi Elazar. So Rabbi Elazar says, Akiva Mayomi Amayim. come, you put on a whole different garb. You know, it's not, there's no parade today. What are you wearing black clothing? Normally you come close, now you dollar ramses. He understood very well what was going on. But he says, what's going on? Why is you behaving today different than normally? Rebbe, he said, the way I understand it, I think your colleagues, your peers, they're separating from you. Af hukara begodov. So when he heard that, he tore his garments. Took off his shoes. The nishmat v'yoshav al gabi karka. He sat on the ground like an oven. When he heard this, the zol of the most, and he started to cry. His eyes started to drip with tears. Loka olam shlish b'zeisim. That day, when this happened, a third of the olive crop was destroyed. Meaning, naturally, it was a shlish bechitim, a third of the wheat crop, or shlish b'sorim, a third of the barley crop. Avotzik shmidisha tofach, and even the dough which the woman was kneading also didn't rise properly. It became swollen. Was it? Tona af godel hoyibos hayom sholmokum shenosim or Rebbe Einav misraf. He says whatever Rebbe Lezer would look at, he would actually burn with his eyes, like similar to Reb Shimon Yochai when he came out of the cave. V'afram Galil hoyabo b'sfina omar olav nachshol l'tovo. That day Reb Galil was traveling on a ship, and there was a swell in the ocean, and it really was gonna sink the ship. So Reb Galil says, I think this is a reaction because of what happened with Reb Lezer Hurkins, because we caused him this pain by putting him in chayrim. Omer al raglav Omer Ribon Shalom. So Reb Galil stood up on the ship, and he said, Ribon Shalom, Golev Yidul for Nech Shalom L'chvodi Osisi. I did not do this for my glory, for my honor, not for the glory of my father's household, Osisi Elechvodcho, so the Yiru Machlokes in the soil. Because if you said Achram Lahatos, that there would be endless dissension. Nochayim Yizafa, at that moment the sea calmed when he said that. Ema Sholem Divisu, the Rebbe Lezer Achti Rebbe Galil, Havyo Miumasa Ve'elech, Lavshavska the Rebbe Lezer Lemepel Lape. Hear this? From that day going forward, as a result of that, Ema Sholem, the wife of Rebbe Lezer, never let him fall tachton. Because tachton, David was expressing his pain. Right? Hu yom reish yarcho avo v'ichlif lo beimoli l'choser. In this, that day there was a confusion whether it was a full month or that. Osa anya v'koy abovo. There was a poor man came to his door. Afiko leirifto. Here, so he gave him bread. Ashkechei is nofel lape, because she went out to give bread to the poor man. He said tachman. She always watched to make sure he shouldn't say tachman when he was that part of davening. Omerle kum katalis lochi. He says you have to get up right away. Don't do it. You're killing my brother. Why? Because her belief was the final decision, and she put in chayrim. When he felt tachnun, and she was concerned. Word went out. Nofak shipura b'beis Ram Gamliel b'shochi. Word went out. They blew the shofar, the trumpet, to announce Rabbi Gamliel passed away. Because Rabbi Lezer ben Hurkins felt tachnun, Rabbi Gamliel passed away. Omar lo mino yodat. He said, how do you know? He said to his wife, how do you know? So she said to her husband, because I know that all the gates are closed like Shariano. Since what happened was a pain, Rabbi Lezer, even though it was justified, doesn't make a difference. You hurt a person, whatever. I mean, you have to understand what this is. I mean, halacha is justified. The answer is evidently because you're not hurting an ordinary person. Evidently, there was another way to deal with it, some other way. I'm not sure. Everybody, we always talk about it. This thing is, what's his speech? What he gave it is, to his bar mitzvah. Right? Nobody's perfect. If you activate the midas adin, so that's what it did. It activated the midas adin over here.
A little confusing the story. Because Rabbi Akiva who showed up.
Only to deliver the message.
Right.
But the final decision was Rabbi Lezer, who was the Nasi. So he was the one who was
Rabbi
calling.
Eliezer was crying because he thought Rabbi Akiva was something.
No.
He got the message right away.
That he was a fan. He understood it immediately.
I see.
He sat on the ground and he took his shoes off and he rent his clothes.
That doesn't go with the opinion that the tradition of the Shach or the family.
Yeah, it's separate, unrelated.
So Rabbi Akiva didn't go back to him till at the end when he was.
According to Mordechai Sanhedrin, the reason why Rabbi Akiva was from the Asar Malchus,
because he told her that
because of this he didn't study certain Torah which never would ever be revealed. He says you're going to die a death, the cruelest death imaginable. Because he was the only one who had the capacity to understand that Torah that Rabbi Eliezer had to offer. All his colleagues were not at that level. And because of the Cherem, he didn't come to him to study the Torah.
So is that until the end?
And he didn't give it to him. He didn't teach it to him.
How long did this Cherem last?
It doesn't say. Yeah, from that time on. How many more years did he live? I don't know how many years he lived. You know that.
What would Rabbi Eliezer himself have posted even though the subject of this whole thing was somebody else was? Would he have done the same thing?
I think what Rabbi Shua said was correct. It says Achram Latos, and you have an irresolvable question, right? You go after the majority, right? Rabbi Eliezer himself, in terms of who he was, he believed he was right. He doesn't have to back down. Him personally, he doesn't have to back. Wait. But he was right. The Baskol agreed with him, except the Baskol, God doesn't bind us to what's right. It's what the human intelligence processes. Okay, that's what it is. And that's what we follow. Rabbi Eliezer is not backing down. And he shouldn't back down. He should not back down. But as a result of that, now the question is, what's going to happen in the community? Rabbi Eliezer is Rabbi Eliezer. So you have all the others. Rabbi Eliezer is a different dimension person. So therefore they had no choice but to put him in Chayim. Right? They had to put him in Chayim. They had to really clip his wings. He had to become persona non grata, otherwise people are going to follow the minority, which is against halacha. But nevertheless, evidently, maybe there was another way to deal with it. I mean, in fact, to put him in Chayim was pretty extreme. Otherwise, no. I mean, it's justified. No.
A Rav who sincerely believes he's right, and he goes and the majority says, well, he himself has to hold according to his opinion. He's high enough level that he feels that this is the right thing.
If he holds he's absolutely right, on a personal level, he conducts himself the same.
Some Rebbe with the Zionists in the church. Some Rebbe had a ruling, right? Satan, and so on and so forth. And they're really good, right?
Yeah. Correct.
I mean, you live in Israel. Some live in Israel.
He didn't say you can't live in Israel.
Right.
The story with Rabbi Yehoshua and bringing his stick on him.
That was different. That was a halacha. There, that was a halacha that even if you're wrong, even if the Nasi is wrong, when it comes to Kiddush HaChodesh, determining the Nasi's word is the last word. This is Achram Latos. If you have an irresolvable question, you're supposed to follow the majority.
Isn't this the same?
No, it's not the same. It's not the same.
What's the difference with this one?
There it says that even if the Nasi makes a mistake, his word is the final word. When the month begins.
So why would
Wait, that's specifically for determining the month.
I understand.
Here, let's say later it's going to be revealed the Nasi made a mistake in terms of Kiddush HaChodesh. Doesn't make a difference.
So why?
What happens if the majority ruled, like the Sanhedrin, you permitted to eat a certain type of fat because they believed it was kosher? Then it came to light that they made a mistake. You have to bring a chatos. You have Parhel Dover. Klal needs atonement. Over there, whatever the Nasi decides when it comes to when Rosh Chodesh is, that's Rosh Chodesh. Even if he made the mistake.
So with that, why would Rabbi Yehoshua have argued?
Because Rabbi Shua says for us it's irresolvable. Rebbe Lezer didn't refute that position.
No, the one I'm talking about, the one who had to bring his stick, was that Rabbi Yeshua?
Because he was unaware of that drasha. They told him, you don't have to feel bad. His colleagues, Rebbe Kiva says, you don't have to feel bad because whatever the Nasi decides, he's the final word.
So he wasn't arguing anymore.
He was, when he heard that, he came. He submitted totally. I accept it.
And the difference between that argument...
There's a Gzer Sakosov, even if the Nasi is wrong, he's right when it comes to determining the beginning. Right, correct. No, it's not self-adjusting over there. You had Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, everything. But still, but then, when's Yom Kippur? Right? When he says the month begins, 10 days later is Yom Kippur. Okay?
But if the Sanhedrin is wrong, we have to conduct ourselves according to what they say. If later it becomes routine...
No, you don't have to. They say certain food is kosher. It's not, you're not obligated to eat the food. You're not obligated to eat the food. They say a certain practice is not idolatry. And it turns out they made a mistake, it is idolatry. Right? Whoever conducts it has to bring a chatos. If it's a minority, it's a majority, they bring a chatos on behalf of culling. Because actually people did the wrong thing. It is idolatry, they ate not kosher and finished.
It's not comparable.
You're right, it's not comparable to
If
anything.
they rule that something has to be done in such a way, I'm not talking about an optional thing. A person doesn't have
No,
to
if they rule, but again, if they rule, then that would be like a hefker as a hefker. There's no such thing as a Sanhedrin ruling. Whenever the Sanhedrin normally rules, it's always interpretation of the Torah. It's interpretation. You understand? Now, when the Torah says this is permitted, that's what the Torah is referring to. So let's say they realized they made a mistake. So that's not what the Torah says. So that's not what the Torah said. That means it's idolatry or it's not kosher. It's chaylev.
So this argument that Rabbi Eliezer was having with his colleagues, if the Sanhedrin rule according to the majority, that's the law. Doesn't matter what he thinks.
You're right, 100% not. Does make a difference.
That's the law. So now why would he have...
He personally, because he personally disagreed. He personally understood it differently.
So why were they putting him in favor? Because he was doing what? Was he doing something to undermine that?
His position, just his position undermines that. He was so great, that's the question I asked. What put him in Just ignore him. Right? That's the question I asked. He had to be disenfranchised because otherwise people would follow his position, although it was a minority position, which is not right for them. He knows that he has a right to do what he believes is right, but what about the masses? They have no grasp of the issue over here. They have to follow majority, because for them it's an irresolvable question.
So why would he then have not taken the position? He understood everything we're talking about.
He has no right to burn the tyrus. If he had truma that's not contaminated, not permitted to burn. So he wasn't permitted to burn it. In terms of his position, it's a Torah violation. The Chachamim, which are the majority, they said, we burn it. So he couldn't conduct himself differently on a personal level, because for him to burn it is a Torah violation.
Is it a Torah violation?
For him it would be a Torah violation.
Why is it?
Because it's Torah. Because if the oven is not contaminated, so the taros which came in contact with the oven did not contaminate the taros. So the truma is not contaminated truma. You're not permitted to burn it. Or the kochim, whatever, with consecrated meat that is not contaminated. He's not permitted to burn it.
But if you say that his opinion doesn't stand
for the public. For the public it doesn't stand. But he personally is bound to it. I'll give you an example. Let's say a man knows he did not give a get. Did not give a get to his wife. Or the get was problematic. And there's no way, and the wife brings proof and whatever else, that the get was and the Bezdin rules, she's permitted to marry. Right? And she marries another man. Factually, but he knows the get wasn't written properly. Or he knows the get was, let's say, was a forgery, and she had it forged, and the court, and it was confirmed it's a kosher get because they put witnesses. But he knows it's not. It's not. And now, so the court rules, and she remarries. But he knows she's a married woman, and then afterwards she's married to this other man. Okay. So the other man is committing adultery, even though the Bezdin says not. Okay, but in reality he is. Let's say now he would have relations with that woman, his ex-wife, right? He would choose to have relations with her. They put him to death.
Who has relations with
The original husband.
the one who knows that there was a problem?
He knows there was a problem, because regardless, in terms of his interaction with that woman, he has to interact with her like a married, because that's what the Bezdin ruled. Of course, that's relevant to someone else. But on your personal behavior, right? He could scream from today forever. He knows the get was no good. Doesn't make difference what he says. And Klapi Shmaya Galyu, God knows he's telling the truth. It's like Tzlavchut. He was put to death. Moshe didn't know. Only God and Tzlavchut knew the truth. But he was put to death. Because in terms of his conduct, he violated Shabbos.
The best in the current that get was good. That's all you need.
That's all you need. No, but I'm saying, ultimately, the woman is going to be, of course, she's committing adultery. She knows the truth.
Why? The best in
She forged it.
She knows
She forged the get. Court doesn't know. She pulled the wool over the Bezdin's eyes. But now, even though he knows the truth and she knows the truth, the court's going to put him to death. He says, but I'm innocent. It's my wife. Doesn't make a difference. But something which is limited to himself, right? In terms of himself, he's permitted her. But in terms of his conduct, he can't conduct himself that way.
If she didn't know it, if she thought it was a good thing,
Yeah.
marry somebody else.
So it's adultery.
I'm saying it's second, but it's not adultery because she didn't.
Let's
know.
say she thought it was a good get. It would be the Bezdin would treat him like Mount Grushoso.
That example
So
doesn't...
he knows it's okay because she was not.
Doesn't make a difference what he knows.
See, that example doesn't help me deepen my understanding of this issue. This man, the ex-husband, he cannot remarry her because a man is not allowed to marry a woman
Who was married?
who he divorced and was remarried.
But she was never remarried.
But she had relations with another man.
No, relations with another man doesn't create the prohibition. It's marriage. Even if there's kedushin, a man divorces his wife and she only has kedushin with another man, and subsequently the man dies or divorces her, she can't go back to the first husband.
She got married to another man according to the...
Bezdin, that the Bezdin said she was permitted.
And that's it.
Even
That's
but he
it.
knows the truth.
No, whatever
It's
he
irrelevant
knows-
what he knows.
What's irrelevant what he knows?
Why?
He now has to conduct himself in accordance
But I'm
with...
explaining why. Because there it goes outside of himself. Because according to that, the Bezdin's ruling, how do we see that woman? That woman is a married woman who was married to another man. Therefore you can't. But something which is limited to yourself, has no relevance to anyone else. Is it kosher, not kosher? I choose it's not kosher. You say I could burn it, but I know factually it's not contaminated. I'm not permitted to burn it. You people want to burn it, go burn it. I'm not burning it. Because I'm not permitted. No, I'm not permitted to burn it. You can't tell me to do something I'm not permitted to do. If I don't know, so the Torah says you listen to the Bezdin if you don't know. But I do know. I do know. I'm not bound. I don't have to listen to the Bezdin if it only pertains to myself on a personal level. Because of course he had a following, because he was who he was. So how could they control it? By disenfranchising, by putting him in cherem.
He'd only do that if he's undermining.
His presence is undermining. His presence, his position, being known that he disagreed, that is undermining him. I said it's not that. I once said many years ago, Havdil Elef Havdol is a million times over. Eichman Yimach Shmo V'Zichro. The halacha is a rodef. You're only permitted to kill a rodef, a pursuer, if he's in the act of pursuing, takes someone else's life. Let's say after he killed that person, you're not permitted to kill the rodef anymore, because he's no longer rodef, correct? Eichman Yimach Shmo V'Zichro. Were you permitted, if you came upon him, were you permitted to kill him without being unbelieving? What would you say?
After the war.
After the war,
No, you wouldn't do it.
you'd be permitted to kill him.
Would not be.
You would be permitted to kill him. He was a rodef. As long as he was alive, he was a rodef. Of course, there were meetings in South America of Nazis, and he represented it, and the movement to kill Jews, he was fueling that movement.
Yeah, so it continues.
So it continues. His presence, his life, that's what it was. Therefore, you could kill him. Lav de lev avdolos, not chas v'sholem. This is in the most positive. Rebbe Lezer, being who he was, the Kodesh, the Godel Ador, which he was that. He was a minority opinion, but it doesn't make a difference. But he was who he was, and because he was who he was, he had a following. So this would undermine the Achrab Mahatos. So therefore, he had to be disenfranchised. They put him in Cherem.
But he wouldn't know that the Achrus is overriding.
There's nothing to do. He's not permitted to do it. He's not permitted to burn according to him, it's Torah. They're not contaminated.
He has no choice. Then he had to be fully prayer, and he couldn't get out of that situation.
Right? Correct?
Why he cried.
Whatever.
Yeah, because he had.
But why couldn't
So
he?
then, but the question is, so it says because Shari no lo nina lo. Therefore, that's why all this tragedy came about. But what they did was justified. They had to do it.
I don't still understand
Right?
why he still couldn't release his position. Once the Sanhedrin.
Because
made
I know the
decision-
truth. If I know something's not kosher and the Sanhedrin rule's kosher, am I permitted to eat it? I'll give you an example. A person that goes to a restaurant and there's a certificate on the wall. Person says, it's not so simple. This rabbi is a straight guy. If anybody is going to burn, it's him. Because he gives the hechsher. I rely on the hechsher. We talk about it. If there's a question on the hechsher, how do you rely on it? Right? The question is, if you know there's a problem, just because they have that certificate on the wall doesn't justify you to eat it. He knows the truth. Well, back down. How could I back down if I know the reality? He had such a mind. He understood, according to his position, it's not a problem. They say it is a problem, okay? But if it's not a problem, I have no right to burn the tyrus.
The release of the Chayrim, how does that happen?
You got to talk. Give an example of somebody's backyard. Alan understands a person that has a certain heart condition, and he knows he will not survive on the operating table. No way. Everybody else disagrees with him, and they want him to do that. He's a cardiac. They want him to do the surgery, and factually, based on your evaluation, your experience, you're going to be actually killing the man. Are you going to operate? Because they said he won't die. You're not going to do it under any circumstance. I'm not going to kill a person. Now you got it. Okay.
Take my name off the chart.
We're not talking about cutting bunions. Got it.
Onions are bunions.
Okay, I just want to do a little mashur because we're holding.